Horse Tales is proudly brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Agriculture. South Carolina, a true leader in the equine industry.
Folks, we're down here in Ridgeland, South Carolina, Folly Moon Farm for a historic situation and the life and times of D.P. Lowler and the South Carolina State Heritage Horse, the Marsh Tacky. And folks, you know, Horse Tales strives to bring you great, informative, entertaining shows. Today we had kind of a conflict, but old Peaky Cowboy rode to the occasion. We sent one crew to cover a Marsh Tacky event in Lexington, South Carolina, a fun show they were having, and I knew I just had to be down here today for this historic information. So folks, we split it up today, and I tell you what, that means we got it done. Folks, today you're going, in the background you see, we get ready to crank up a great auction, a historic day. So folks, sit back in that lazy boy and enjoy history in the making. All my life, I've been obsessed with horses. I was curious and wanted to see other people's love for their horses and their stories. I'm David Grant, the PD Cowboy, and along with some incredible horse owners, I want to share the story of horses and the people that have a passion for them. Horse Tales is being brought to you today by Morrell Tire Service. Right on in and see Richard and his fine family of technicians to take care of your automotive needs. By Nationwide, and folks, you know when the PD Cowboy rides, he rides with Nationwide on his side. Kinlaw Supermarket, Fayetteville, North Carolina, featuring a full line of Carolina Fresh 3-pack frozen poultry program. Hey folks, the PD Cowboy rides with a brand. Now my brand of chicken is Carolina Fresh Foods. Carolina Fresh Foods, chicken the way it used to be. Ask for it at your local grocery store. If they don't have Carolina Fresh chicken, call the PD Cowboy and his elite posse of chicken wranglers and we'll get cracking and shoot on down to the ranch and round you some up. Carolina Fresh Chicken, simply the most fresh delicious chicken you can buy.
You can't always be there to protect her down the road. Make sure the tires she's riding on will. With the revolutionary Michelin Premier tire, even as it wears down over time, its safety doesn't, thanks to Evergrip technology. The Michelin Premier tire, safe when new, safe when worn.
Are you ready for a new ride? Anderson Brothers Bank has the right payment you've been looking for. If you enjoy a bank that gets to know you and your needs, then Anderson Brothers Bank needs to be your bank. Now is the time to stop by one of our 20 locations throughout the PD and coastal regions, where decisions are made locally. Right car, right payment, right now at Anderson Brothers Bank.
Farmers are always planning for higher yields, more diversity, expanding opportunities. Nationwide and your local agent want to help your farm last through the generations. As the #1 farm insurer in the country, Nationwide can help you achieve your goals. We stand for you.
When you buy South Carolina fruits and vegetables, you're supporting over 1 million jobs in this state. And because it's not traveling as far, your produce should be tastier and fresher.
South Carolina agriculture. It's a matter of taste.
Folks, sometimes you got to wait till somebody passes this side to the other side, but they become a legendary status. Mr. D.P. Lowler is still on this side, and he's legendary status. And Mr. D.P., you're 84 now?
I will be in September 28.
And he's still about as tough as that little stud behind us. Mr. D.P., a historic time in the Marsh Tacky's life and in your life here. Got word a few months ago that you kind of, lack of better words, had a vision, went out and spent time with your horses and decided to do something that's probably one of the most difficult decisions you've made in your life, is to sell some of the herd that you have established in what, 2 generations, 3 generations?
Well, 100 years. My daddy had them, and I had them. I had them for 75, and he had them for 25 before he passed away. And this blood horse has been in our family for 100 years.
Absolutely. I can say, folks, you know that I love the Marsh Tackies, and Mr. DP preserved them, and me and a lot of other people promoted them. Made it down to his farm one day, me and Lee McKenzie, and I just happened to have a horse trailer there. And when I left there, I got a great start in a breeding program. And as y'all know, on the show you see my stud DP that's named in honor of Mr. DP.
Well, he's carried it well, hasn't he?
He has, I'm telling you, and you've carried it well. Mr. DP, just tell the folks, I know you've had livestock on your ranch forever, but one thing you've done all your life in this little Marsh Tacky is deer hunt. And how long you been deer hunting off horseback? And you still do, don't you?
Oh yeah. I really can't remember. It's been, let's see, probably 60 years, 70, 65, 60 or 65 years I've been hunting deer on horses.
Well, I had a fella come to the house this past year looking for a hunting horse. We got to talking, and your name always comes up. Good, matter of fact. He said, yeah, Mr. DP, I hunt with him all the time, but you get to looking, he get to missing, and then you see him again, he's dragging deer up. Well, I tell you one of the best stories that I remember. Tell the folks that you got hundreds, where you had the little horse where he would walk across the log and get to the other side of the island. What horse was that?
That was a little horse called Rusty. And he would do everything. He would plow, he would pull, you could drop the reins on him in the woods looking for a hurt deer. He'd be right there when you got back. And where I hunt out there on the coastline, there's a lot of Civil War canals and all.
Right.
And this one of them, you get up to it about 20 foot wide and deep, deep, deep. If you jumped in there, you get all wet up. And, either you had to go a mile that way or a mile that way to get over it. And, the place where I always wanted to cross, I'd have to jump him in and swim him across. But eventually a big old white oak log about 3 foot across, and people would walk across it and the animals would walk across it, and it was kind of war on the top, you know. And I'd get off of him and I'd back up and lead him down that log, and he'd walk that log all the way across it, and I'd get on him and go ahead hunting. But now he wasn't a very big horse. He wasn't big as Buzzer Boy, but he was a power king in the woods. And
another story that intriguing, because we do both know when I first started messing with Marsh Tacky, when you go to the island getting them, you know, they were a lot smaller. We fed them good, we bred the good ones to the good ones, but we have really maintained the integrity of the conformation and everything. But one story you'd always would tell me was about the fat lighter and drawing the infection out.
Way back then, Marsh Tackies was a way of life for white and black. They rode them to the stove, they rode them to church, they plowed them. They went in the woods with the wagon and picked up. It was just a family type horse. And after World War II, the government had a program. A lot of people don't know this, but a lot of the soldiers that went to war and all in World War II was farmers, farming boys. Very few come from the cities. And when they come back to the farmland, the government giving them $200 a month to farm. And there was a bunch of Marsh Tackies back then, and my daddy traded in mules. He got mules out of Alabama by train, and they'd unload them downtown, boxcar loaders of them. And he'd trade them mules and get them little horses that people had used and messed up the shoulders. It's called a fistolo.
Fistolo, that's okay.
And
remember that word, folks.
Fistolo. And they would when they hurt the shoulders and bruised them and scalded them up, they'd run. They'd run blood and pus and all that good nasty stuff. And the ones we had that was like that, we'd have to put a cork sack across something for it, keep it from getting on you. When they was working, it would work out. And the black people used to doctor that by sharpening fat lot of shivers, and they'd stick it in down on the lower part of the shoulder to make that stuff go down instead of up. And we had a bunch of them like that. that it was galled up, but I never knew one to ever get better.
Really?
Yeah, and that was because they're using inferior harness on them and gears on them, and would mess up the shoulders and all. But they were riding fools now, brother.
Well, you, back in what, the 50s, you would go to Hilton Head and pick some horses up?
Even before that.
Did your daddy do that? I know you did.
My daddy never got a horse off the island.
But you did.
They would bring them horses to the mainland by bateau, and that's the horses he got. He never went to the islands.
Right.
But I did later on, and I got a lot of my horses off of St. Helena Island and the Fusky Island and another old island I call Bull Island. In fact, I got 13 over Bull Island one time. They had a bunch of Marsh Tacky males over there, and they raised them, a bunch of them. I went over there, and they brought them back to the mainland on a barge for me.
Well, when I pulled up to your farm that day, and it's, the good Lord has been good to us all, but I tell everybody, Mr. DP, because of the horse, my life has stayed on course, and meeting you and getting DP, which is my stallion, from you. But I was telling you why, Miss Dan, I caught you at a weak moment, because the guy that worked for you that day, I left there and had some mares. Now, this might, because you know how horse people, we like to talk. Did I catch you at a weak moment, or did you have a vision that you sold me some mares?
Well, you impressed me with your vocabulary, and I wanted to spread the breed around, and I thought you'd do a good job, and you have. I give you credit for that. You probably one of the ones that was the most energetic about promoting the horse and then you named that horse that I let you have
Mr. DP.
And you named him DP. I just thought you would be a good candidate for that position.
Folks, as you can see, people are picking out some horses. This auction is going to be really exciting, and when we come back, Jeanette Behringer is going to fill us in a lot about the Marsh Tacky history. Horse Tales is being brought to you today by Carolina Fresh Foods. Folks, we are Fresh Delicious. Equestrian Images, making memories together. By the South Carolina Horsemen's Council, the voice of the horse in South Carolina. By Greg Landon Timber.
And brought to you by Anderson Brothers Bank. Right car, right payment, right now. Treating you like family since 1933.
Members of the South Carolina Specialty Food Association have a variety of products that are sure to be a hit at your kitchen table. Support our local artisans and savor South Carolina.
South Carolina, it's a matter of taste.
In these days of big corporate business, it's good to know there's a local bank that not only cares about you, but your community as well. Anderson Brothers Bank, corporate business minded with a heart for its customer and community.
Southern States carefully crafts every bag of Legends horse feed with the highest quality ingredients available. The Legends superior line of specially formulated feeds will help keep your horses happy, healthy, and in peak form. You and your horse have a special bond. To keep that bond everlasting, Legends horse feeds can accommodate every type of nutritional need a horse might have. Legends, redefining what horse feed should be. Visit your local Southern States dealer to see which Legends feed is best for your horse.
Hey folks, the PD Cowboy rides with a brand. Now my brand of chicken is Carolina Fresh Foods. Carolina Fresh Foods, chicken the way it used to be. Ask for it at your local grocery store. If they don't have Carolina Fresh chicken, call the PD Cowboy and his elite posse of chicken wranglers and we'll get cracking and shoot on down to the ranch and round you some up. Carolina Fresh Chicken, simply the most fresh delicious chicken you can buy.
You can't always be there to protect her down the road. Make sure the tires she's riding on will. With the revolutionary Michelin Premier Tire, even as it wears down over time, its safety doesn't, thanks to Evergrip technology. The Michelin Premier Tire, safe when new, safe when worn.
Been around 13 on a donut, 12 on around 13 on a double down.
Folks, welcome back to the show. We're down here at Folly Moon Farm with a historic auction of Mr. D.P. Lowler's famous Marsh Tacky herd, and here is one of the prime examples of the historic famous hacksaw. I hope I quoted that right. And folks, as you can see, his conformation is very, very, very Spanish, very Spanish. And speaking of conformation and knowing all the rules, join me now. It's the infamous Jeanette Behringer. We go way back. I don't think we got enough. Yeah, that's right. That's when the horse is here, she's in town. That's what they do.
Yep.
Jeanette, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It has. It's been 11 years now that we've worked on this project together, and you were actually one of the first Marsh Tacky owners that introduced me to the world of tackies and helped to connect people together, because back when we started, you know, they were distributed all over the low country, and you know, breeders weren't really talking with each other, and it was quite a journey over the past 11 years to get people to collaborate, to develop a stud book, to DNA test all the horses. And this horse here, as you said, is a real fine example of the breed. His daddy is Hacksaw, and he was the last stallion pulled off of Dowfusky Island, and he was a beautiful, beautiful typey roan. And as you can see, his son is a roan and just as typey as his dad. His dad was also a classic small horse. But the thing that misleads people with these animals is just because they're small, they think they're ponies. This horse is every bit as rough and tumble as the best quarter horse you could imagine, but he could probably do the job on less feed and less care and still keep going long after the quarter horse is tired.
You preach it to the choir, girlfriend.
Yeah, well, you know, you got to have an appreciation for a horse that's put together the way Mother Nature intended. Mother Nature did not intend for a horse to be 16 hands, have a giant muscular butt, these giant chests. These horses were developed to be able to cope on their own, and you know, they've got these nice slender chests and but they've got very deep bodies, and it's kind of like thinking about a roast beef. When you slice a roast beef, it cools off faster. Well, these guys have a really narrow chest so that they can cool off faster. That's how they can function so well in the low country and keep going and going and going, when these bigger horses just kind of crap out after, you know, a few hours in the heat and the humidity, you know. So you got to have an appreciation for that. I certainly do. And so what I do is I manage a stud book, and we developed the stud book after 3 years of work. And I work for the Livestock Conservancy, which is an organization that deals with the old-fashioned livestock and poultry breeds that used to be found on farms. Why is that important to everybody? Is because the animals that we are concerned with, should they disappear, you can't recreate them.
Is that on the way down here, me and Jerry, I was trying, and I bumbled it up a little bit, the Cotton Patch Goose story. That's one of the animals can't replace that y'all done a good job with. Share with the folks the story of that.
Oh, sure. Cotton Patch geese are real interesting because their name kind of explains why they're important in the southeast, as they used to be turned loose in the cotton fields to be weeder geese. And the thing that's a little bit different about them than other domestic geese is they can still fly. So you could turn them loose in the cotton patch, and if a predator came by, they could take off and fly away. But they never flew far away. You know, if you were feeding them grain and goodies, they'll come back home. But this is a traditional breed that was kept in the deep south, and they almost disappeared, and we had a small handful of folks. There was a gentleman in Texas, some folks in Mississippi that kept these animals just because their families had for so long. And now we've got a really active group of breeders. They're on Facebook and they're sharing stock and sharing stories, and so that breed was actually saved. And now they're getting to the point where there's enough of them that they're trying to bring them into the American Poultry Association's standard of perfection to get them recognized by the poultry community as an actual breed.
Well, when I first met you, it was an American livestock breed, Breed Conservancy, fantastic organization. And just the other day, which you're the Livestock Conservancy now, and the numbers, when we first started off with what? How many Marsh Tackies, Jeanette?
We were lucky if we had about 140, and that was after 3 years of looking really hard. I put 20,000 miles on my car looking for Marsh Tackies, and after 3 years with the help of you and Lee McKenzie and DP and some others, we were able to find about 140, 150 of them.
And look at these numbers now.
I know, I put those numbers together the other day. Every year I do a census, and we're approaching the 400 mark as far as live animals on the ground. So that's quite exciting to go from, 150 to 400, and yeah, it took us 11 years, but we got there, and it's really exciting. They're in good shape, and I'm hoping the horses that get sold today, that the owners know that it's really important that they keep these animals in the stud book, make sure any offspring are registered, and be proactive in promoting the breed, because that's the only way the breed's going to, survive for the long term. People got to use them, they got to show them off, and stay engaged with the breed association.
Well, I've got a lot of things cooking to do that. And Jeanette, I'm going to put a lot of this stuff on social media. Folks, right here, there's about 20 articles that this lady here was responsible for promoting. You're one of the hardest working, you're like James Brown of the Conservancy, one of the hardest working people.
Well, I got to say there are two things that particularly excite me. One was a couple years ago, National Geographic recognized the Marsh Tacky as part of horse breed evolution in America. I mean, who would have thought of that 11 years ago? And then I was on vacation visiting my family in France, and I picked up a horse book in the middle of France on horse breeds, and what's in there but the Marsh Tacky. So I was just floored by that. Even outside of the low country in the US, people now know what Marsh Tackies are, and that's pretty exciting.
And folks, we're going to wrap this up, but she's married to a Frenchman. That's why she was in France. And one day when we get back together, I'll share you the story of how she discovered a Frenchman stateside. Horse Tales is being brought to you today by King Street Auction Company, the leading auction company in the Southeast. Dillon Meat Center, featuring Carolina Fresh poultry products. Ride in and see Douglas and Terry Wayne Jackson today. By the South Carolina Agricultural Department, it's a matter of taste. And by Benton's Horseshoeing, reliable professional hoof care, specializing in maintenance and corrective shoeing. See Larry Benton.
Carolina and Clemson haven't agreed on much since 1896. It's a healthy multi-sport rivalry. And this year, every head-to-head competition is part of the inaugural certified SC-grown Palmetto Series. So while Gamecocks and Tigers each support their team, we can all support local farmers by purchasing certified SC-grown products. Just look for the certified SC-grown label where you shop and follow your team at palmettoseries.com. It's a matter of taste.
Are you ready for a new ride? Anderson Brothers Bank has the right payment you've been looking for. If you enjoy a bank that gets to know you and your needs, then Anderson Brothers Bank needs to be your bank. Now is the time to stop by one of our 20 locations throughout the PD and coastal regions, where decisions are made locally. Right car, right payment, right now at Anderson Brothers Bank.
Southern States carefully crafts every bag of Legends horse feed with the highest quality ingredients available. The Legends superior line of specially formulated feeds will help keep your horses happy, healthy, and in peak form. You and your horse have a special bond. To keep that bond everlasting, Legends horse feeds can accommodate every type of nutritional need a horse might have. Legends, redefining what horse feed should be. Visit your local Southern States dealer to see which Legends feed is best for your horse.
Hey folks, the PD Cowboy rides with a brand. Now my brand of chicken is Carolina Fresh Foods. Carolina Fresh Foods, chicken the way it used to be. Ask for it at your local grocery store. If they don't have Carolina Fresh chicken, call the PD Cowboy and his elite posse of chicken wranglers and we'll get cracking and shoot on down to the ranch and round you some up. Carolina Fresh chicken, simply the most fresh delicious chicken you can buy.
15 on and on, then 15 on and on, then 15. When I get in, sir, when I get 15, time's up, when I get to go. When I get 1500, 1500. I'm going to get 15 on and on, then 15, then when I get down on the mountain, then you want a bit? Now 16 on and on, now 16, got it, 16 on and on, now 16, now 17, 19 on and on, then 19, then 9.
Folks, welcome back to the show. It's my privilege to introduce a good friend and mentor too, Lee McKenzie. Folks, the old cowboy had to go to the low country to get some good horses and dogs. I'm gonna say a quick little story. You know, I like to chase a deer and a hog and all that. And when I first started hog hunting, I couldn't catch a cold with the dogs I had. Once I met Lee McKenzie, I started buying some good dogs, and the rest they say is history. Lee, Adams Run, South Carolina,
yeah,
right?
That's right. Adams Run.
Lee, you've had many a good dog and many a good horse in your lifetime, but
been lucky.
Yes, sir. How about these little Marsh Tackies, Lee?
I love them, man. I've been riding them since I was 7 years old, and fella used to come get me and my brothers because we were kind of small when we were little, and he'd start riding horses when they were like a year and a half old to 2 years old, and just let them follow us, you know, follow the rest with the old McClellan Army saddles and crocus bags or burlap bags for saddle pads. And so I've had them a while, and I love them. They're good riding horses, hunting, or what trail riding, or whatever you want, which you know about that. But I've enjoyed them.
Well, folks, old Lee's like a good horse. He's got an easy way of going, but don't let him fool you. When we first kind of all got together, and the preservation of these horses was a lot of work by a lot of good people, but he was a go-to man. Because Lee, I really feel like on this area, you know, Mr. DP had his, but you really knew where the horses were because you were connected. Most of us was hunters that had them left.
That's
right. And it was just amazing to me that you recall, well, Bill was this, Bill was that, because I think one of the first ones I bought was Bill from your brother.
That's right.
That you knew about, and just that you got a photographic memory when it comes to dogs and horses.
Well, I love it, and you know, I've always paid attention to dog pedigrees and all, and I guess that's why I kind of, you know, always tried to learn as much as I could about what they were off of and who they came from, the breeders, and stuff like that was very important to me.
Well, you can believe one thing, when I started trading with you, and I tell you, like I say, folks, if you need a good dog or horse, that's the man to deal with. But you're talking about pedigrees and all that, folks, you know, like I said to Mr. DP and Ed, when we're gone, a lot of these younger generations, you know, folks, that afternoon on the back of a Marsh Tacky chasing hogs or deer, Lee, is it, we might as well go on home now, hadn't we?
Yeah, that's right.
But folks, used to, business was done at the hood of a truck or in the dirt, and a handshake was a man's word. I didn't realize I had this till I was digging through Lee the other day, and we talked about this thing. Sit right here. You remember those names you sat down there and drawn out?
Yeah, man, I know all those dogs. Yeah.
Ruth and Ring.
Yeah.
Spur.
Yeah.
And one thing, Lee, and me and Mr. DP got a little emotional. One name I'm going to bring up, Robert Cruz.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now Robert Cruz, he was a mess, wasn't he?
Oh, he was.
But I tell you what, he had some good dogs, and he had some good tackies, didn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah. He let me always get some of his best breeding and all, because he knew I'd use them and stuff. And yeah, Robert was a good friend of mine. He really was.
Folks, we're having a great time here, a historic day here in South Carolina with our state heritage horse and Marsh Tacky, and some great folks down here today. History in the making. And before I leave here, and I interviewed him a minute ago, I forgot to do it. Lee, me and you going through thick and thin.
That's right.
Now I know how you are, but there ain't many of these left. Team Marsh Tacky. Now, I know how you are down this part of the country, but I would want to invite you into my fold of Team Marsh Tacky.
I'll wear it with pride.
And folks, until next week, keep your reins low and your hands quiet. And as you see here today through generations, God has blessed this great country of ours.